What is up, my ducks and drakes? Welcome to the Crawdad Lake, and today we're continuing I Could See Too, a Standard-Size fanfic by ariww19 on Wattpad. So if you'd like to check out the fic for yourself or the author, the links are in the description below, and you can follow along with the book as I read if you so choose. Today we'll be doing chapters 7 through 9. Hope you enjoy. Chapter 7. 2 months sure went by fast, my mom says when she sees me with my backpack. It sure did, but I had a good summer, and besides, I'm looking forward to sweater weather again. I tell her. Well, have a good first day, sweetie, she tells me. I will. See you, Mom, I say, walking to the front door. I'm wearing a light gray skinny jeans and a white t-shirt with a black beanie. I make a 5-minute walk to school. When I arrive, I see Brittany and Darren talking and laughing together in front of the school. They've been together for a couple weeks now. Hey guys, I say as I walk by. They both say hey and continue inside. First thing I do is look at my new schedule. I still have first period with Mr. Barnes, only it's AP US History. As I'm walking inside, I sense a familiar soul coming closer. I smile to myself and hide behind the corner. As soon as they reach the corner, I step out and say, "Boo!" Club yelps and almost drops his phone. I laugh and he just glares at me. Not funny, he scolds me. It was pretty funny, I tell him. He frowns, but it soon changes into a smile. I have been looking for my class. Mind helping me? He asks. Of course. Let me see your schedule, I say, holding out my hand. He reaches into his bag and pulls out a piece of paper. Oh, your first class is right next to mine, I say with a smile. We head to the second floor and stop right in front of his classroom. We only have fourth period together, I tell him. Okay, now to find the rest of my classes, he says. I offer to help him, which he happily accepts. After I show him where all of his classes are, we head to the second floor. He goes into room 204, while I go into Mr. Barnes' room, 205. I sit down after a minute, and Roman Soul starts approaching. He walks into the class and takes a seat right next to mine. Mine is by the window, and his is to my right. Hey, baby, he greets me. Hey, what's your schedule look like? I ask him. He shows me a paper and I sigh. Still only one class together, I point out. That sucks, but at least we have one, he says in response. I nod and pull out my notebook. He does the same. We talk for another minute before Mr. Barnes comes in to start class. Okay, for first day, we're going to start with Unit 1. Open your textbook to the correct page and read the first page. It should be an introduction, he explains to everyone. I finish up my reading relatively quickly. Then we go over most of Chapter 1. At the end of class, he gives us the rest of the chapter for homework. Finally, class ends and I head to second period AP English, which turns out I have with Ethan. I also have third period and gym with him. After that, I have art with Club. Those class passes by pretty quickly, and before I know it, it's lunch. Hey guys, I say when I see my friends sitting on the table outside. In order from left to right, I see Roman, me, Club, Ethan on one side, Roman, Patton, Darren, and Brittany on the other. I'll be right back, guys, Ethan says, standing up. He walks inside the cafeteria. As soon as he's gone, I pick up on an annoying soul, Joey. Hey, beautiful, he says as he sits next to me and Club in Ethan's spot. Club smiles politely, but doesn't say anything. He puts his arm around Club. You never did call or text me, he says to Club, who tries to shrug him off. Before either of us can do anything, I sense Ethan's soul. To say he's pissed is an understatement, but he keeps his cool as he grabs Joey's arm. He lifts Joey out of his seat and says, Don't touch him. Joey seems surprised, but puts a fake smile on. I thought you were gay, Joey points out. I'm not, Ethan says, and I can see Club's soul turn dark blue. I'm bi. Either way, that's my boyfriend, and you had your hands on him. He finishes saying. Club's soul turns yellow. Such a shame. I thought you had a better taste, sweetheart, Joey says to Caleb. Ethan opens his mouth to say something, but Caleb speaks up instead. I do. That's why I chose him and not you, he says, and Ethan smiles. In fact, everyone in the group smiles. Even Logan has a smirk on his face as he puts an arm around Patton. Leave, I say when Joey just stands there shocked. Dang, Caleb, who knew you had it in you? Here, I thought you were the shy type, Brittany says with a smile. Not when someone insults my boyfriend, he responds. God, I love you, Ethan mutters to himself, but I heard it. Caleb must have heard it too, because his soul becomes a mesh of pink and yellow. I start chuckling lightly. Ethan must have seen it too, because he chokes on his drink. It makes me laugh harder. Don't be an asshole, Virgil, Ethan tells me. What's so funny? Patton asks. Caleb's soul, I say, still laughing. What about my soul? Caleb asks nervously. I lean closer and whisper in his ear. What? He explains and looks at Ethan with surprise. You saw it too? He asks him. Ethan clears his throat and nods. Caleb gets seriously flustered. Soul? Darren asks in confusion. That's when I remember that I actually haven't told him or Brittany about Soul Search. I glance at Ethan and he shrugs. We might as well tell him, Ethan tells me. I nod and gesture for him to do it. He explains the basics to them, and to my surprise, they both believe him. You don't think we're crazy? I ask in slight disbelief. No, if you say you see souls, then I believe you, Darren says, shrugging. Of course I believe you. Now, what does my soul tell you? Brittany asks. I smile and focus on her soul. You're happy, but also nervous about something right now, I tell her. Oh, very good, she says with a smile. I'm just always nervous on the first day of school, she explains. So what classes do you guys have left? She asks everyone. Everyone tells me their classes. Turns out I have next period with Logan. We have chemistry. After that, I have 7th period with Brittany. It's math. The rest of lunch goes by pretty fast, so I say goodbye to the others and walk with Logan to our class. When we get there, we take our seats together. Shall we try to be lab partners? Logan asks me. That would be best, I say back. Luckily, our teachers let us fill out a sheet of paper on who we want to be lab partners with. He said that he'll go over everyone's suggestions and make a decision by tomorrow. Today, we get to sit wherever we like for class. The first thing we do is go over basic safety precautions. Then Mr. Bard gives us a basic rundown of what we'll be working on for our first lab coming up this week. For the next week, until then, we'll be going over the work before doing the lab. Our homework is doing a bunch of reading. Not that I mind that. When class is over, I head to math. I meet up with Brittany halfway there. Hey, I was wondering about... I cut off. It doesn't matter. I was also wondering something. About Soul Search? It sounds fascinating. What else can you see or do with it? She asks as we walk into class. I tell her more about it while we wait for Mr. Corbin to start class. Wow, I'm assuring you don't want anyone else to know, so I'll keep it to myself, she tells me. I nod. Keep what to yourself? A familiar voice asks. He was close enough to overhear, but I don't think he did. None of your business, Joey. Now go away, I tell him. But I'm in this class, he tells me. I sigh with annoyance. Of course I have class with him. Then sit far away from us, I tell him. Whatever, he says, and he goes to the other side of the room. Man, I really don't like him, I mutter, and Brittany laughs. He does seem like a jerk, she says. Understatement, I tell her. I glance over at Joey to see a smirk on his face. He winks at me, but just rolls my eyes in response. I can see he's up to something, but what? Class goes by relatively quickly. After class, I walk out with Brittany, using Soul Search. I notice Joey walking towards us. I intend to ignore him, but that's before he wraps his arms around my waist and pulls me into him. Not expecting the contact, I immediately push him away. The problem is, he has me from behind. Let go of me, I tell him. People stop in the hall to observe the scene I'm making. First, I need to test something, he says and twirls me around. It makes me drop my bag. I don't know what I expect, but it wasn't him kissing me. The problem is that as soon as he kisses me, it's like he focuses on every single one of his negative emotions because I suck them all up. Get off of me! I yell as I finally push him back. I'm a rip. I try to say this about Roman and his friends in the crowd. I could see he's pissed off, but he isn't showing it. Then, out of nowhere, I feel familiar sickness. I cover my mouth, but it doesn't stop the black liquid from pooling out of my nose. I quickly grab my bag before pushing past everyone. Roman tries to reach for me, but I push past him too. I make my way to the nearest bathroom. When I reach the bathroom, I drop my bag on the floor and run into the first hall. I quickly lift my seat before puking up all the negative emotions I absorbed. Virgil, are you alright? I hear Patton's voice. He places what is meant to be a comforting hand on my back, but I push him off. Don't do it. I try to say, but puke again. Virgil, I'm going to touch you, okay? Roman tells me softly. I take a second before nodding my head. He places a hand on my back and rubs circles as I puke for the third time. Once I feel it's all in my system, I stand up. I go over to the sink and wash it out of my mouth and clean my face. When I'm done with that, I turn to my friends and boyfriend, Patton, Logan, Ethan, Darren, Caleb, and Roman. I'm going to kill him, I tell them. Murder is not the answer, Logan tells me, but has a smirk on his face. However, if you must, I'll help, he adds. I give him a grateful smile, but Patton scolds him. I'm only kidding, Logan clarifies. I'd never actually hurt him, Pat, but that asshole is seriously getting a piece of my mind. Who the hell does he think he is kissing me like that? I say, crossing my arms. I look at Roman to apologize, but he stops me. I saw everything, he says. Then he walks over, he cups my face, and asks if I'm alright. I'm fine, but he did something weird to me. I've never had that reaction before, I tell him. I transferred all my negative emotions to you, a familiar voice says from the doorway. Your friend is out here waiting for you, Joey adds before leaving the bathroom. Now hold on a minute, asshole! I call out and get his attention. He ignores me and keeps walking. I walk to the door and grab my bag before following him out. What do you mean? How? I ask as I catch up to him. You have Soul Reader. I heard you telling your friend about it, he tells me. We walk down the hall. And? I question. And I wanted to make sure, so I forcefully transferred my negative emotions to you, he explains. How? I ask him. Better yet, why did you have to kiss me? I say, grabbing his arm and pulling him to a stop. That's because I've wanted to do that since we first met, he tells me with a creepy smile. I say, pulling back my hand. My friends approach us. How do you know about this gift? Logan asks for me. I just said, Joey tries to say, but I cut him off. Okay, but you make it sound like you know more than I do, I tell him as I grab Roman's hand. I used to have a friend with the same ability. She died a few years ago, he explains. I'm sorry for your loss, Patton tells him. It was a long time ago, and she was sick for a long time, so I expected it, Logan says nonchalantly. Joey says nonchalantly. I could see he cares about this girl he's talking about, but the way he's acting says otherwise. Chapter 8. Anyways, that explains why you didn't like me when you first met, he tells me. So you know you're a manipulative asshole, I say. He simply smirks and salutes before walking off. Wait, what do you know? I mean, is there anything you could tell me that I don't know already? I ask him. Probably, but it's more fun if you figure it out for yourself, he responds. Asshole, Ethan mumbles. I was kidding, Joey says with annoyance. If someone focuses on their negative energy, you suck it up much faster. That's how Soul Cleanse works. It's why you're able to calm down someone who's upset, he explains. That makes sense, I say. Anyways, I have to go, he tells me. With that, he heads off down the hall. Why would have thought that asshole knew about Soul Search, Ethan says as he wraps an arm around Caleb's shoulder. Yeah, it's surprising. I still don't like him, though, I tell everyone. I don't like him either, Roman mumbles. I smile in his direction, but he seems in another world. Do you want to come back to mine? He finally asks me. I turn to him and smile even more. Gladly, I say, and lean over to kiss his lips. He smiles and I pull away. We all leave the school and head in different directions. You're not mad at me, right? I ask Roman as we walk down the street in hand. Why would I be? He asks in return. I stop walking. I look down with a sigh. I know it wasn't my fault, but it felt wrong when I kissed Joey. I could see you weren't happy about it either. I tell him. He reaches to cut my cheek. Of course I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at Joey for touching you. I want to physically hurt him for kissing you, he says darkly. His dark attitude surprises me, but doesn't scare me. I don't blame you. If it was the other way around, I would have kicked his ass despite the promise I made to my mom. I tell him. He steps right in front of me so that our chests are touching. I just hope that it doesn't happen again, he says, looking at me directly in my eye. It won't. I know now to be on guard when around him. I stay, still feeling a little bad that it happened at all. He smiles softly with what I see as relief. These lips are all yours. I reassure him and he smiles even brighter. We start walking again. It doesn't take us long to reach his house. When we get there, I notice his parents aren't home. Let's head up to my room. My parents won't be home for work for a few hours, he tells me. His mom is a lawyer and his dad owns a store. As soon as we get inside his room, he kisses me. I could see his soul is dark pink. The longer he kisses me, I could see my own soul turning the same color. We make our way over to the bed, where he lifts me up and lays me down. He kisses my lips for a long moment, before making his way down my neck to my collarbone. Roman! I breathe out when he starts sucking on my neck. I'm almost certain he left a mark, but it doesn't bother me in the least. My hands make their way to the edge of his shirt, and I start to tug on it. He lifts me up and takes off his shirt. At the same time, I sit up enough to take off my own. Now, shirtless, he goes back for another kiss. His hand roams my body. I'm leaving every touch he makes. He pulls back. What's wrong? I ask, slightly out of breath. I want more, he says, looking off to the side. I use my hand to make him look at me. I'm ready for more, I say and lean in to kiss him. After an hour of vibing, we decide to head downstairs. Our lips keep finding each other as we make our way down the hall. We both quickly make our way down the stairs. Once we reach the bottom, our lips find each other again. He tries to kiss me again while walking backwards, but instead falls on his butt. I help him up while laughing. Smooth little one, Princey. An unfamiliar voice says from the living room. I jump up because I wasn't using Soul Search around me. Oh my god, Roman says as he runs over to the tall stranger. He hugs the man tightly, making him drop his bag. Then, when Roman realizes he's hurt, his left arm is in a sling. I can see the man is a straightforward type of guy, protective of the ones he cares for, and his soul's calming. I thought you weren't back for another couple days, Roman asks the man as they part. Yeah, but as you can see, I ain't got hurt, so they let me go home early, the man explains. Roman opens his mouth to say something, but gets a look of realization on his face. Oh yeah, Virgil, this is Carter, my uncle. Carter, this is Virgil, my boyfriend. Roman gestures. The man is tall, with the same brown hair as Roman's mom. He's tanned and built like he works out. Ah, so this is the amazing, perfect guy you were telling me about, Carter asks as he holds his uninjured hand to me. I reach out and shake his hand. It's great to finally meet you. Roman's told me a lot about you, I tell him. Oh, he's told me some about you too before I left. What you two up to? Carter asks. Roman opens his mouth, but closes it again. I could see his soul change to full embarrassment. Just hanging out. We were about to go into the game room, Roman tells him. Carter glances at Roman and smirks. I could see he knows that wasn't the full truth. Mind if I join you too? Carter asks. That'd be awesome. Roman says you're a big gamer. I've been wanting to get into games, I say, grabbing Roman's hand. Really? Well, I'm not sure what you've already played, but I have some suggestions, Carter tells me. I spend the rest of the day playing games with Roman and Carter. When it's time to finally head home, I know quite a bit more about Carter. He's a really good guy, and I enjoy his calming soul. It was great to meet you, Virgil, Carter says as I get up to leave. He pauses the game to shake my hand. You too, Carter, I tell him back. He goes back into his game while Roman walks me out. We reach the front door and I grab my backpack. I'll see you tomorrow, I tell him. Then I start to walk home. The next day, I'm making my way to school with my headphones. Out of nowhere, I heard a loud crash. I quickly turn my head to see two cars that have collided. I run over to make sure everything's all right. Are you okay? I ask the driver of the truck as he gets out. I'm fine, the guy says. The truck seems to be transporting some metal rods. That's when I realize that one of the rods came loose and went through the windshield of the second car. I go over to the driver's side when I see no one else inside. The driver is a middle-aged woman. Are you... Oh my god, call 911, I tell the other driver. The rod went straight through the woman's shoulder. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, the woman keeps repeating as she looks at her shoulder. She tries to move, but I kept her still. Try to calm down. If you move, it'll cause more damage, I say softly. The woman looks at me with fear in her eyes. How? She yells at me. I look her in the eye and grab her hand. With a deep breath, I start to take some of her negative emotions. She finally calms down as the emergency services arrive. How did you do that? She asks me. I've read a physical contact helps a person calm down, I tell her. She doesn't seem to believe me, but tightens her grip on my hand. I finally pull away so the emergency services can get to her. It feels nice to help someone using my abilities. It feels nice to help someone in general. Perhaps I'll give more thought into what my mom wanted for me. My mom wants me to become a doctor or a nurse. I tell the police what I saw and how I stayed the woman to help her calm down. You're good, kid. Most people ignore a situation like this, the officer tells me. I nod and continue my way to school. I reach my school and see my friends waiting for me. We all say our good mornings, and I tell them what happened. Finally, we head to our classes. Mr. Barnes looks up as soon as I enter the room. Everything all right? He asks me. I tell him what happened, and he seems impressed with me. I didn't do anything that anyone else would have done if they had my abilities. The day goes by pretty fast after that. Even lunch. I'm now on my way to 7th period with Brittany. Walking into class, we realize that we have a substitute. It's only the second day, but I'm assuming Mr. Corbin is sick or something. Our class starts, the substitute writes a problem on the board. Math that we haven't started on yet. Then he calls up one person at a time to answer it by working it out on the board. Brittany, who sits next to me, is called up next. She's the third one called, and first one to actually solve it, but I'm not surprised. Brittany comes back to her seat with an annoyed look on her face. Why is he having us do this? Do you think he realizes that we haven't learned this yet? She asks. He knows, I say in response. As soon as she finished, he writes a similar problem and calls another student up. She gets it wrong, and he calls me up next. You're supposed to be teaching us, not humiliating us. We haven't started on those kinds of problems yet, I say, annoyed, and most of the class agrees. If you can't do it, then say so, he says in a cocky tone. I stand up and walk over to the board. I can see that he thinks I'll get it wrong, so I smirk and start on the problem. When I finish, he scowls at me, but says that I got it right. Now, can you actually explain this to everyone else? Or maybe do the work I know Mr. Corbin told you to? He picks up Mr. Corbin's planner and stands at the erase board. When I get back to my desk, Brittany high-fives me. I'm surprised you didn't get in trouble, but that was beautiful to watch, she says with a smirk. The rest of the class is the same as usual. We watch him do the practice problems, do some problems from our textbook, and then write down our homework. After class, I walk to the bathroom. Once I use it to wash my hands and leave. "Virgil!" a voice calls out. I know that soul. With a smile, I turn to greet Brittany and her friends. "Hey, Brittany, and hey to you three as well. Kayla, Zoe, Hope, right?" They nod and say hello as well. "Brittany here said that you saved someone's life. Is that true?" Zoe asks. I tell her and Hope what actually happened minus the part about Soul Search. "Wow, that's really brave," Hope tells me. Thanks," I say and sense Joey's soul. I want to ask him about Soul Search. I'm curious how much he knows about it, but I don't want to do it alone. So I broaden my Soul Search and I look for Ethan. I see him not from me with Caleb. I walk to them first. "Hey guys, Ethan, come with me," I say when I walk up to them. Chapter 9. "Alright, I'll come over later," Ethan tells Caleb. He then kisses him softly. "Come on, lover boy," I say, grabbing his arm. Caleb smiles at us and walks off. "What's up?" Ethan asks me. "I want to talk to Joey to see if he knows any more about Soul Search, but I don't want to do it alone, in case he tries something stupid," I explain to him. We walk down the hallway towards where Joey's soul is. We find him in front of his locker with a bored look on his face. He closes his locker and turns around. He smirks when he sees us. "Hey there," he says. "I wanted to ask you," I start to say, but he cuts me off. "About Soul Reader, yes. Figured as much. So I brought you these," he says, pulling out 3 notebooks. "Allison wrote them. They have everything she experienced written down in them. Her mom gave them to me, probably because I was the only other one who believed her," he explains with a small smile. "You can read them, but then I want them back. They're one of the few things I have left of her," he adds. "How did she die? Allison, I mean," Ethan asks softly. "Cancer. She was 16, Joey says with a rare sadness. He covers it up quickly, though. "Her mom just gave you these?" Ethan asks as he grabs one of the notebooks and skims through it. "Her mom moved away after Allison died, but gave me a few of Allie's things first. Those notebooks are one of the few things," he explains. "Thank you. I'll take care of them, and then give them back," I tell him. He nods and walks away. I grab the notebook from Ethan and put them in my bag. I turn to look at Ethan, but I sense Roman's soul at the end of the hallway. "Thanks for helping me," I tell Ethan. "Sure thing, man," he says and walks away. I turn towards the direction of Roman and see him talking to some girl. Roman looks up and smiles brightly when he sees me. He says something to the girl and then walks towards me. "Hey, baby," he says with a weird accent and reaches towards me. Hey," I say, grabbing his hand. We walk out of the school together. "I'll see you later," I tell him when we get outside. "See you later," he says and kisses me. We part ways and I make my way home. When I get home, I see my mom's car outside. I walk up the path and unlock the door. Then I walk inside. "Mom, do you have a minute?" I call out into the house. "Of course, honey," she says from the kitchen. "Oh, what are you doing?" I ask her. She's sitting in front of the stove. She has her phone in one hand and a big spoon in the other. "I'm making spaghetti," she says happily. How's it going?" I ask as I glance at her phone. She's watching a YouTube video on how to make spaghetti. "So, what did you want to talk about?" she asks me. I tell her what happened with the car accident. Then I tell her how I helped the woman calm down. "That's amazing, sweetie," she tells me. It felt good to help someone. I think it's something I want to do again," I tell her. "That's great, honey. What were you thinking of doing?" she asks as she turns to see me. "Well, I'm not exactly sure, but I think being a nurse would be a good direction to go in. That, if an MET," I say, leaning against the counter. "Your father owes me $50, she mutters, but I hear, "You two did not actually bet on my career choice, did you?" I ask her. She just laughs in response. I sigh with a smile and look at the pot. "It's almost done," she tells me. 30 minutes pass of us talking about me potentially becoming a nurse. All right, it's done, she says. She mixes the meat, sauce, and noodles together. When that's done, we go into the living room and my mom turns on the TV. A few hours pass of us watching a couple movies. A few minutes after the third movie starts, she pauses it and stands up. I stand up as well and follow her into the kitchen. She walks over to the freezer and pulls out 2 garlic knots. Heat these up for 30 seconds in the microwave, she says, putting them on a plate. I take the plate from her and put it in the microwave when she makes our plates of food. She grabs our 2 plates and takes them into the living room. When the garlic knots are done, I take them into the living room as well. I take a bite of the spaghetti, my eyes widening with surprise. This is actually good, I tell my mom. Really? She says and takes a bite. Oh, looks like I know how to make spaghetti, my mom says excitedly. No, I just need to learn to cook, I tell her. She just smiles. After dinner, I tell my mom goodnight and head to my room. Once there, I read through most of Allison's first notebook. When it hits 10 p.m., I head to bed. It's the next day, and I'm currently on my way to 4th period. I'm not great at art, but I enjoy it. I get to my class and take a seat next to Club. Okay, class, today I want you to find a partner and draw a rough sketch of them. My teacher, Miss Elkin, tells us. Miss Elkin is a pretty laid-back teacher and kind. Her soul is really chaotic, though, but not in a bad way. Her blonde hair is long and falls freely. Her green eyes are sharp but kind. Want to partner with me, Virg? Caleb asks me. Of course, I tell him with a smile. We turn towards each other with our sketchbooks in hand. I start drawing, and by the end of class I'm pretty much done. It's not perfect, but I think it looks like you, I say as I show Club my finished piece. He looks at it and his eyes widen a little, but he smiles. Is it bad? I ask with a pout. No, Club tells me. I can see he's not entirely lying, but he's telling the truth not really either. I like it, he adds, and I can see he's telling the truth. I smile happily and the bell rings. Let me see yours, I tell him. It's not finished, he says, showing it to me. It's a very detailed drawing of me, unlike me who's better when it comes to reading and writing. Club is very artistic. I hate you, I tell him jokingly. He smiles and shoves his sketchbook in his backpack. We leave 4th period and head to lunch. We run into Ethan on the way. Hello, you two, Ethan says as he kisses Caleb's cheek. Hey, man, I say, and Caleb smiles while saying hi. We walk out to the outdoor cafeteria and to our new table. It's a 2 picnic table lined up with each other. I sit at the end of the table next to Caleb. Ethan sits on the other side of him while Roman sits across from me. Also at the table are Logan, Patton, Darren, and Brittany. While eating lunch, we all talk about random things. So, have you given any more thought into what you want to do after high school? Logan asks me. I have, actually. I want to help people, and I think I could use Soul Cleanse to help me do that, I say as I take a bite of my sandwich. Logan looks over at me. Sounds like a good idea. How can you use Soul Cleanse, though? He asks. I'm explaining it to him when I sense a familiar soul getting closer. I close my eyes and let out a heavy sigh. Hello, Virgil, Joey says as he wraps an arm around my shoulder. Since I expected it, I don't flip out. Don't touch me, I tell him blankly. Here, I thought we were friends, Joey tells me. What do you want? I ask him. I need your help. Come with me, he says as he stands up straight. I look up to see a serious look on his face. Fine, I say, standing up. I follow him as he leads me into the school. We walk over to the nearby girls' bathroom. Before I could ask what he's up to, he drags me inside. As soon as we enter, I hear sobbing coming from the stalls. The soul's familiar. Emily, it's me. I brought someone who could help, Joey says as he knocks on one of the stalls. Emily? I know her, don't I? I stand there silently. Only a few seconds pass before the stall opens and a girl comes out. She's still sobbing as she turns into Joey's arms. I do know her. It's the girl I walked to the principal's office. Shh, it's okay. My friend is here and is going to help you calm down, he tells her and rubs her back. He looks at me and I nod. I walk behind her and put my hand onto her back. With a deep breath, I take her negative emotions. Not all of them, but enough so she could calm down and think clearly. She stops sobbing and has settled down into light sniffles. How did you do that? She asked me softly. Magic, Joey says and pats her head. She pouts. It's obvious that she doesn't believe him. Are you okay? I ask her. I'm fine. It's just some girls, she says softly. I'm sorry to hear that. If you ever need anything, I'm around, I tell her. She thanks me and asks for my name again. Virgil. His name is Virgil, Joey says for me. Thanks for help. I was worried for a moment there that I couldn't calm her down. He adds, Of course. Well, I should head back. Lunch will end soon and I want to see Roman. I say and I leave the girls' bathroom. I head back to lunch. When I get there, Roman is staring in the distance. Everything okay? I ask him. He jumps at my voice but smiles. I'm fine, he says, but I see it's a lie. I give him a look and he sighs. It's nothing, really, he says. I observe him for a moment and then I nod. I can see he doesn't want me to push it, especially in front of others. Besides, I can see what's wrong. I notice that ever since Joey kissed me, Roman becomes extremely nervous when he's around. What did Joey want? Ethan asks. He needed my help to calm down a mutual friend, I explain. Well, Roman and I will see you guys after school, I tell everyone. Roman seems surprised but grabs his stuff anyway. He throws away his trash and follows me to the back of the school. I make sure we can't be seen before turning to him. What are we? He starts to ask, but I cut him off by kissing him. He really kisses me back. I let him push me against the wall and deepen our kiss. His tongue licks the bottom of my lips, so I open my mouth to let him explore. After a minute of making out, the bell rings. Roman pulls back and I groan in annoyance. Roman smiles, his beautiful smile. Aren't you the least bit worried that we're on school grounds? He asks me. Not really, I say, smirking. We could finish this later, he tells me. Fine, I mutter sadly. He kisses me again before grabbing my hand and walking me back to the main building. So, that was all today. So, I hope you enjoyed. You could go in the description for a Google form to recommend more Wattpad Read Aloud fics or like fanfiction.net, AO3, Tumblr fics. There is a Google form in the description to recommend all types of fan fiction. Please recommend some. Hunting for them is very hard. It's like, yai, have all you guys do the work for me. Yai, but Wattpad Read Alouds, oh my gosh. Just, anyway, thank you so much for listening. My links are in the description below. There's also links to the author and the book and the author's Wattpad page, and then there's my social media links like Wattpad, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, TikTok, things like that. Yeah, I'm very happy to be doing this again. Took a break for a couple weeks and I recorded all the last episodes in advance, so it's been a couple weeks since I recorded and I'm just happy to be doing this again, you know. So, subscribe and hit the notification bell to get the episodes next week and be notified about them, and do your best.